I would look at holistic pest management as your word versus eco-friendly, because that's where you're looking at it from a holistic perspective. You're looking at the construction, you're treating the person, you're dealing with the pest problem from a biological perspective, not a chemical perspective. And branding yourself as a holistic company, and why we are holistic, because when she explains IPM, and I've had her on the show, and I think you should, I don't know if you heard that interview with her.
No, I haven't.
On IPM,
Okay.
she's probably one of the premier IPM people in the country from an educator perspective, other than Deanie Miller. But she's over up north. No, Deanie Miller's out of Virginia. I'm sorry, she's out of Virginia, Virginia Tech. But from a person who's a liaison between the universities, the public, and the pest control people. Her name is oh my God, she's got an Italian last name, and I just lost it. I'll find it for you. I'll post it. I would literally call her and have a serious conversation, because what I do is I take, as a marketer, you got to think as a marketer now, switch your hat from sales, from technical, and go into marketing mindset. How do I take what an educator says, what the state says from compliance, and turn that into a marketing message? We're spin doctors. That's what we are as marketers. It sounds nasty, but that's what we have to do. We have to take something that is unintelligible from government, which government complicates everything, and turn it into something that people can understand and simplify it. And I would take the position that if you say, I sell pest control the same as everybody else, then the only differentiator between you is going to be you personally, which you don't want, because now you pigeonholed yourself, and your unique selling proposition, or the price. Now you have to be lower priced than everybody else. Because what do you sell? If pest control is a commodity, what's your differentiating factor? You have to have one that you can articulate very easily to the client in your marketing message. That is the most difficult part to do, because some people who come from marketing intuitively get that, like Obex Pest Control, which I've had him on the show. He's a sales guy and a marketer. He translates that very easily into a very simple marketing message, because that's what he does. I mean, I got Cubano Villa Clara, which is on right now, listening to me. This guy owns a very successful company in California, several $1 million worth of pest control a year. He knows what he's doing.
Good.
But he's a salesman, and he taught me a lot of things about marketing that I needed to change, because I'm a salesman. I'm not a marketer. I had to learn to be a marketer, because I'm a consultative salesperson, because I've always been in a consultative sales position. I was a senior account representative. I was a regional sales manager. I've never been and I wasn't in the trenches for many years selling individual services to people. I was selling large contracts, business to business, different mentality. So there's a lot of things that we need to learn and unlearn, especially when you're online and you're in the solo groups. If you want to be a solo forever, then listen to them on how to stay solo forever. But if you want to grow, you got to set your foundation from the beginning.
Frank, that was awesome what you said, a holistic approach. That was awesome. That's a great, you brought everything together.
Right.
Do you have a lot of complaints where people say, or with the word eco-friendly? Do you have a lot of situations?
Here's why. When I started out, and I don't know if you've heard my story, for those of you that haven't, I started out in a traditional company mixing 5 products into a tank and spraying everybody down. Most of those products were organophosphates. They were actually, some of them were illegal because they were AG products being sprayed all over the place. So I was mixing a fungicide, and 2 insecticides, and 2 organophosphates, a 20/20 fertilizer, and a surfactant, and we were mixing that in the tank, and we were spraying everybody with that. And the guy told me, I don't know, I'm getting out of the pest control business. I can never make money. He was charging $35 a yard. I went in and I said, bro, I didn't know anything about it, but I know how to be a salesman. The guy was a salesman too, by the way. He was good at it. He just couldn't figure out how to do pest control differently. I said, I don't even want to be around these products. So I immediately changed it. I doubled the price on the client. And I said, we're not going to come monthly. We're going to come bi-monthly because we're upgrading all of our chemicals to all modern chemicals. And I did. We went from buying $35 a gallon product to stuff that was costing $100 to $600 a gallon. But I could use them in less amounts, use less amount of poundage. They were more effective. And then I learned IPM my second year when I listened to Dr. Frischman. And I said, okay, now we're going to change this, and eco-friendly is the way. How do I do it? And I started practicing it for 7 years before my customers even, by the time I got to the end and I rebranded my company, we were 100% almost organic in the landscape, in shrubs, 100% natural. The customer never knew what we did because the customer pays for a result. The customer didn't pay for chemical. And I learned how to differentiate myself, but I had 7 years to practice it quietly when nobody knew what I was doing. When I decided to rebrand is when I saw that the organic market went from a 4% back when I wanted to do it. I studied markets and I studied that it was 4% people buying. Well, no, the news was saying 50% of people want organic. Well, the reality is only 4% were buying. When I saw the diffusion of innovation and I saw that the market was at about a 13% acceptance of organic products. This is laundry detergent, food, all kinds of chemicals, and people didn't want the chemicals in their home. I said, now it's the time for me to rebrand. And that's when I rebranded to Nature Pest. What I quickly understood is that I was selling to 13% of the market that was buying pest control. I knew my numbers and I knew what I was up against. I wasn't delusional. I knew that in Miami, 20% of people didn't buy pest control, only 10% bought pest control. So I was selling to the 13% of that 10, which comes out to a 1%. I'm a 1% business. But when you have 2.8 million people to market to, how many customers do you need to be successful? Not very many. When you break it down to the ridiculous, that if I had 300 clients, I was golden at my prices because I sold it for twice as much as everybody else. You see, so the pushback is going to depend on you having a clear strategy of who your client is and you not being afraid to say no to everybody else. In other words, when you're getting married, it isn't about the 99 that you're giving up that you could potentially date. You're saying, I want to be married to this one. And I know who I'm being married to and who I want to be with. And I know what I'm looking for in a woman, and everything else doesn't matter. But you have to have a strong conviction. I had a strong conviction about eco-friendly and natural and organic because it outperformed everybody else. Because I did it based on biology, not based on spraying juju juice. I knew what it would work on because I had 7 years to test. And I knew where I failed every single time and I couldn't do it. And then I took my success and I packaged that success. This is what I can deliver to you based on this current information. So when we put on our website, it says we're the only company in South Florida that has an exclusive no indoor spray service, I am targeting the people that don't want any chemical in their home.
That's correct.
And my marketing, by doing 7 years of social media, 7 years of videos, 7 years of SEO, where I rank in markets right now that I'm not even in. This is why, bro, how are you getting leads from all over the country? Because I set up a brand and I went out and set up the marketing to be a household brand. And so now I get calls from Texas. I get calls from California, New York, New Jersey, Canada. I get calls from all over the world. People saying, how do I get your service? I can't get it here. And then I put them in contact with somebody that can do it.
And real quick, I'm gonna add some.
Go ahead.
Question. When I called, your voicemail came on. You don't have a answering service
We did, and we had to fire them.
So right now you're on the roll. You're on, doing houses and that, and you're getting all those phone calls, and you're dealing with them as, let's say, as you're doing the service, the treatment.
I have a headset on all the time. I'm driving with a headset. I'm doing a service with a headset. There ain't nothing we can do that we can't answer a call with a headset.
But that's going to be me. That's going to be me.
Yeah, and I got a voicemail. I used to have a phone answering system. I deactivated it for a while because I wanted to get some feedback on the new call because the market had dropped so much.
Okay. And the reason I asked that, because as soon as you get that phone call and your voicemail comes on, that you just lost that customer, I would say, or that lead. And they call somebody else. This guy didn't answer.
Yeah, you know why? Right now, I'm at a point in my business. Everything that I do is strategic. If I get a customer that demands that he speaks to me right now, in the middle of COVID, when you can't hire, when you can't find people, when you're wearing 16 hats, and that person demands that I talk to you right now, he's going to demand that he always talks to you right now, and you won't be able to wear your hats. You got to choose. It isn't this idea that, oh, I get the guys all the time and says, I don't know what to do with 16 calls a day. Well, why are you handling 16 calls a day? Because I got to take every call. On Saturday, they don't sleep. They don't rest. On Sunday, no, because I lost 12 calls over the weekend. What do? I said, it's very simple. It's on my voicemail. We don't work Saturday. We don't work Sunday. If you call me on a Sunday with an emergency service, we're not an emergency company. You're not my customer. I got clear who my customer is. My customer will call and leave a voicemail and say, Frank, I saw your video. I want you to do it for me because I saw, and I've had 3 companies and they haven't done what you do and they've all failed. And I'm willing to wait for you right now. So understand that you can't be all things to all people. When that lady calls who decides she wants somebody right now, I have people calling me at 2 a.m. I need you to answer your phone right now. Says, dude, we're not a 24-hour company. I got people tell me I would have hung up on you. Exactly. You're not my customer. I got so many calls and I got my numbers and I know they've already seen my videos. They've been on my website. They read my information. They've seen my pricing. If right now, if you don't fill out an application online like you did, I will usually get an instant response that says, hey, I got your quote and I'm working on it and I'll get back to you. The minute I'm done doing what I'm doing, I'm looking at it and I'm texting that quote. And how long did it take? I texted you back and I said, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't service your area.
That's right.
That's simple. I don't need to waste my time. No, if you're in a little town, in a sleepy town where everybody still has a phone on the wall that includes a dialer, and he's 85 years old and he doesn't know how to use text, yes, I get it. But we're in Miami. This is a 24-hour town, and everybody wants it yesterday. And then you call them and you give them the price, and they're like, okay, let me talk to my husband. And a week later, you still don't hear back from them because they're price shopping. Because here's the problem. I know my market. I know that 80% of the time I'm going to quote a price, I'm not going to get the sale. Because she's in an apartment and she's thinking she's going to get a $65 spray service. Why? Because I do marketing in Spanish and I also do marketing in English, and I have Spanish pages. And 80% of my roach business comes from Spanish people living in apartments where they work for a slumlord and they're not going to buy from me anyway.
That's right.
So when my guy sees my video on how to treat this problem on a disease on a plant, he will call me and says, hey, Frank, I saw your video, bro. I'm dealing with this problem with plant, bro. I really appreciate if you can call me back. And then I usually will call him right back. But it also filters out for me all the marketing guys because I get 10 marketing calls a day. So every time the phone rings, here's an important thing I had to learn a long time ago. Every time the phone rings, it is urgent, or it is, you got to differentiate between what's important and what's urgent, because you can't do everything. If I'm working on a proposal that's going to take me 30 minutes and that phone is constantly ringing, it's going to take me 2 hours to get that proposal done. I'd rather just ignore the call, because but that's, people live in a paranoid state. Oh, but that's potential business. Yes.
Potential income. Yeah.
Potential income. Well, yeah, you can kill yourself and be a paranoid schizophrenic based on potential everything that you've lost. I got to pick and choose.
And that's why I like your model where you have the upfront pricing. Who's going to call? People that want it already. They already searched everywhere.
By the time they get to, here's the difference. Since people are Googling in English, they are Googling eco-friendly natural company. Okay. They already know what they're buying. Here's the problem. There's only 2 other companies in Miami-Dade that do what I do out of 241 companies. It's simple supply and demand. You want an eco-friendly, here's what they offer. Here's what we offer. They've already done the research. They've already been to my website. They've seen my videos. They're already sold. They're just waiting for me to quote the price, get back to them. When I quote a price on a guy that owns a $1.6 million house, he's not going to price shop.
That's correct.
Because he's busy. He's making $250 an hour and he doesn't care. He wants somebody to solve it. He doesn't want to price shop. His wife doesn't want the chemical in the home, because this is based on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations over the years with people where they keep repeating. If you listen to your client, you will hear the same 10 questions being asked every single time. And you compile a list of the top 10 questions, and this is what everybody asks. And I answer them in my presentation. And I have them included in my presentation when I call them back. Do you know anything about us? Well, yes, I know that you're eco-friendly and your products are natural. And I let them talk. And I said, no, let me explain. It's not 100% natural. Let me educate you on IPM. What we use is the process that is used in organic facilities. You realize you can't use natural products in organic facilities. You use IPM. It's the natural extension of organics. This is what I explain to people. So when they're calling me and says, but so how do you control this? We're the only company in South Florida that has an exclusive indoor zero spray service. We don't have to spray the inside of your house to solve that problem. I have an elevator pitch. So when I'm talking to them, I repeat the same story every single time to everybody, explaining. And then I get into a consultative mode after I let them talk to me for about 5 minutes and tell me all about their problems. They already told me more than I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And I can now get into my sales pitch, ask them, do you know what we do? Say, well, if it's for lawns, I'm the only company in South Florida that has 5 100% natural services. 5 for dealing with outdoor pests. Inside the home, we use this because this is what's recommended, because she tells me she has a dog. I said, do you realize that IPM is what the American Veterinary Association recommends? This is on their website. The American Board of Pediatrics is what they recommend is IPM. They don't recommend a spray service. This is why our service exceeds California's, San Francisco for the environment, which is the strictest in the world, probably next to Europe. Our process already exceeds Europe's requirement for IPM. You see, so when I start talking like that and educating the customer, I am not afraid of the marketing bringing in a false sense, because it is my job as a salesman to clarify it. So if you tell them too much and you don't let them call, then you lost everybody. You lost the opportunity. I want the opportunity to get in front of you. So therefore, eco-friendly, natural, and I throw out all my terms, but you look, none of it's on my website. When people go, none of it is deceitful. My first statement is a statement of what we believe and why we do it. It does exceed what is done in hospitals. We treat every home as if it was a hospital surgical room. There's no chemical anywhere on the floor. We use baits all the time. So, but how do you control it with baits? We have a process, and I explain our process. I have a video on that. You saw on my quote page. There's 5 videos on there that explain 5 of our top services. So by the time they fill out that form, they're sold. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of the technicality of the price. And usually it's not an issue. You see, so again, but when it comes to my Spanish clients, I only have a 20% success rate. When I have an Anglo client, I will have a 50 to 80% success rate. I know my closing ratios.
Right.
And so that's how I balance everything, because when I was full-time behind a desk a year and a half ago, and I had 2 technicians in the field and all I did was sales and marketing, I had an answering service. And I only returned the calls that were from a prospect. If you were a vendor, you had no chance in hell of me calling you back. SEO guys that are calling me 10 times, you had no chance in hell of getting me on a phone. I had a wall block. So what I did is, when the calls are slower and the calls are busy, I will turn on my I use CallRail. So I have a directory. For sales, press 1. For service, immediate service, press 2. And sometimes they're all routed to me, and sometimes they're routed to somebody else that they can take the call for me while I'm super busy.
What
So
program do you use? What program do you use for your routes?
I'm using Pest Routes.
Pest routes?
Yep. Can I be honest with you? I would probably look at Gorilla Desk.
That's what I already signed up with, and I don't know if we're allowed to say like the name.
I don't care. It's my podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, just as long as it doesn't get you in trouble
Yeah.
with your previous employer and things like that.
Yeah.
But no, when I bought Pest Routes was a platform that was almost enterprise level. And then they went through the phase where they were trying to sell, and they basically stopped everything, and they didn't advance or do anything, and they were stay stagnant. And Gorilla Desk really took off. Like, they're the Apple probably product of the industry, where they make it the UX experience and the user friendliness. However, they still got limitations, especially if you do termite. You're going to have to use something like Pest Routes, because you have the ability to upload, have the documents right there. They're more in tune with the more technical part, where Gorilla Desk went more with the let's focus on the single user ease of things. Let's be more of an Apple. And they succeeded at it. They were very good at that, and I give them props for that. Those were the main reasons why, because I was already a growing business, and I was going to go into termite, and I'm looking at the future and saying, I come from data, and I know what a data migration costs to do. I know how many man hours it's going to take. When we're talking 100, 800 man hours to do something, how am I going to manage that when I'm already wearing 4 other hats? I'm going to hire a data entry person. So yeah, I would just stay with Gorilla Desk on that. How are you planning to do? Let's talk about your marketing. Let's go back to it, because we touched on a couple of things, but we really didn't do a deep dive. Let's do a deep dive into the marketing, because I think, all the other stuff, the technical stuff, the nuances that you're going to get being in the field, and very quickly. The things you don't know about pest control, you're going to learn very quickly. There's a million places to learn it. You can write in any group and you can get an answer to that. What's going to be your strategy to market right now, other than you're building your website? And let's talk about that too. What platform are you building it on, by the way? Webflow. Okay. I haven't used them. Tell me about them.
Oh, it's really good. But I went into Wix and I didn't like it, because you cannot really customize it. And,
not in the true customization sense of being able to change a real layout and change a lot. They're customizable to drop. They're basically drag and drop for people who don't know how to build websites.
And it really doesn't give you that second. With Webflow, you embed, and you can embed until you can go back and forth, and have your own platform in your mind, and you can design it freely in Webflow.
Okay.
Where in Wix, you cannot really do that free designing. It's there already.
Mhm,
It's there for you.
mhm.
So, and that's what I saw. I didn't like it, and that's why I went I started searching Webflow, and it's just a designing platform. You're gonna. I mean, it took me time to watch all the videos on how to do it, and I was able to get by with basics, but my website's looking okay. Um, so that is gonna have different pages and all that, but it's almost ready. It's almost ready.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you going to use your website as a SEO tool to drive the business? Or are you going to use the website basically as a glorified brochure that you drive business to from social media, from advertising?
That's that's my idea right now. I want the website just to be there, informative.
Okay.
Uh, Let the customer know. Um, um, Put my pricing, or then go in there. I want that call now. I'll talk to them and I let them know what we can do.
Got it.
Um, but mainly, it's going to be an information website of what
Okay.
I do, just like you have it there.
Okay. Now, that is not it. My site is not an information website. My
Well,
site is a lead generation machine because I have so much SEO on it.
that's
Um,
correct.
so when before the SEO company that I hired, which I'll keep talking about this until it really hurts them, they tanked my SEO. I was doing 16,000 clicks a month on that
Oh
website.
wow.
Yeah, now we're about 9,000, and because Google, we had the fiasco with Google My Business moving the address. We were getting, I think, 15,000 views a month on Google My Business. We're probably down to 4,500. So it went down over 50% over the last couple of months. That's why you see me doing different things, because I got to deal with the decline. So I take more calls to have more chances of closing. When the calls are coming in and we can't manage them, I'll put them through a funnel. And, whatever comes through the funnel is great, but, that's fine. So it's about strategy. What in your case, since you're going to, and understand that, and you really need to get on Google My Business. Okay. You don't not neglect Google My Business right now, like from the get-go. You're going to have to do directories marketing and directory listings and get all your directories in there. You can use a software like Yext to do it, which is going to cost you like $700 a year, one time, every year, to manage all of your listings. But whenever a listing goes bad, you know about it immediately. You can monitor it. If not, I'm going to recommend, and I will recommend the guy I'm using now, because he's darn good at it, to manage your Google My Business with the directories listing and maybe a backlink strategy. But in all reality, you're going to have to come up with like $3,000 to get him started, and then about $700-800 a month to manage that. That's the reality, because it is a lot of work. But if you need to get your Google My Business to be number one in the market for 13 miles, so that you get the local business, which is where route density is going to come in. Let me tell you, route density is more important than pricing. Because if you can get all those customers nearby together, your cost of travel is going to be a bigger expense for you than the price you're charging the client.
That's correct.
So your route density, if you focus on route density from the get-go and make that your priority, to say, I want everything within 15 to 20 miles of me. I want to be number one within 15 to 20 miles. I want to be number one on Google, but I also want to be number one in the 3-pack in the maps. If you can manage that, you're going to see your phone ring off the hook more than you can handle. The GMB is easier to do than the local. The local, what I'm going to recommend for you to rank is you're going to have to start creating city pages on your website. One
City
for
case,
yeah, I mean Austin. Well, you're in Austin, right?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay. So if you look at San Antonio as a metro market, It's an entire metro market.
Yeah, it is. Mhm.
But you have all the cities that are in between.
Yes.
So if you got 30 cities around you that you want to target, you got to create one page, one city page that you do business in that city. Probably no less than 1,500 words a page. You're going to have to write a lot about that city, have a backlink strategy for it going out to the main city halls and the local universities. You're going to have to create what is known as a local, what is known as LSI, latent semantic indexing, and you're going to have to learn on-page SEO. That's going to be your challenge, to learn on-page SEO. I got a couple of podcasts on that it hasn't changed very much, because Google now bots are very, very intuitive. They know what you're writing about. SEO is actually easier, but you have to get good at the copywriting, because you got to convince two people. You got to convince the guy reading it, and you got to convince Google. So you got about 30 pages to write alone on the cities. And that's going to be how you're going to get the traffic. And you have to understand how to do good backbone structure for your website, where you have good silos, that everything is in a silo. If this is, for I'm sorry, San Antonio.
Mhm.
I keep getting your cities confused, bro. It's San Antonio?
San Antonio. Mhm.
Okay, so for San Antonio, and then all the cities underneath. Go to my website and look at locations we serve.
Oh, I saw that. You have a lot. You have a big list.
That's how I get all the business from all those areas.
Yeah, big list.
And then I will go into, you got to learn into Google Webmaster. You need to set up a Google Webmaster account. And you're going to have to set up a Google Analytics account. Use all the Google tools, they're free, but you're going to have to go to Webmaster and learn how to index that page properly. You're going to have to learn that your site needs to have a proper site index. If you don't have a proper site index, if you don't get these things right, you're never going to rank. You're going to have a glorified business card. So if you're not prepared to spend the next 20 hours a week learning SEO for on-page website SEO, the basics, and then start doing it over the next 90 days, then you're probably going to have to hire an SEO company. The problem is, here's how I would find an SEO company. Don't go in the groups and ask what they're using. Get out of that. Go to a local air conditioning business. Go and see who's ranking in your market, and call them that are non-competing. Don't go to your pest control competitor and ask them, because that's a conflict of interest. But go to the AC guy, the plumbing guy, all the home service businesses, the garage door guy that is ranking, and say, hey, bro, I'm a local pest control company. I'm looking for an SEO company. Who are you using? And do you like them? Because if they're ranking, the guy's doing something right. Stop asking in the groups, because the groups can't help you. And a lot of the time, what I find in the groups, which is how I got burned, is that they're getting kickbacks from these SEO guys to market in there, and they're really not who they say they are. And I got burned. That's how most of the guys that I've talked to that got burned, because I'm getting the calls and say, yeah, did you use this? Yeah, I used them too. I got burned. So, if somebody's already giving, how do you know the guy can produce results? He's on the first page of Google. That's how you know he can produce results. But if you think you're going to get it done for $100 a month, we're talking $3,000 to $5,000 investment up front, and $600 to $1,500 a month to do that. Option 2, go to ads. Don't waste your money on SEO. Just Google my business, because you need that. The moment you start getting customers, you start asking for Google reviews from day one. Your goal is to rack up as many Google reviews as you can from your clients. That's what's going to get you to rank. And get as many as you can. And then if you have to, get software that automates that, so every time you do a service, it keeps sending them an email. Like we have it on our order form and our report and our invoice. Hey, this is Jesse. I just did a great service for you. If I did a great service for you, hey, do me a favor, give me a review. Here's the link. It's automated. It comes up on the report that the customer gets on every service that we do. So every single service they're getting asked, on every initial, on every reminder, every time they turn around, we're asking for a review. That's what's going to help you rank on that 3-pack. If you don't get the reviews, I don't care how good that guy's SEO is. It's not going to happen. Those are social signals. I would look at ads. I would be looking at being on Nextdoor. Definitely being on Nextdoor. That's a platform that's really powerful right now if you learn how to use it. Posting also to your Google My Business account daily, a blog post about pest control. Look at my Google My Business. We post daily. Check that out so you can see it. You need to then look at doing maybe targeted Facebook ads.
Yes. That's one idea that I had, targeted Facebook ads.
And to the areas that you want, don't go everywhere. Do a 13-mile radius. I always like to keep, especially when you're in big cities where there's a lot of highway and traffic and stuff, I would say 13 miles, top 18 miles radius. So I would say if you do Facebook ads, it's going to be your number one. And you got to learn to do them. If you don't, get somebody that knows how to do the copywriting for it. If you're not good at copywriting, if you're not good at writing convincing sales material, because that's the key. It's not the ad, it's writing a good copy. I struggle with it, and I hire some people to do it, and then I'll run the ads myself. I'll manage the ads. I'll do the ad management. I can keep a track on the dollars. Look at Nextdoor advertising, because Nextdoor advertising is really good. Remember, here is what I tell people. What works for one guy in one market will not work in another market. So you do all of it. You perfect it. You do A/B split testing. That's where your money's going to be spent. Your first 60 to 90 days is testing, because you don't know what's going to work. You just got to have a budget for testing, knowing you're going to lose. And you go in with that perspective saying, I'm going to lose, not by the marketing guy. Oh, we're going to do great. Within 30 days, you're going to see this baloney. They're going to have to test because they don't know. So you go in with that mentality, you're safe. So yeah, definitely Nextdoor, Facebook, and depending on your competition, you could do some Google AdWords. And what you can target is low price AdWords that nobody's targeting. Words that only cost you $5 a click that other people aren't targeting. You won't get a lot of traffic, but you will get the calls. It's your job to sell them. Remember, the marketing doesn't convert people. It's the salesman's job to convert. You're trying different things. But if you do a strategy where you can get a group of keywords that produce 20 clicks a month and you convert 50%, that's 10 sales a month on low price keywords that nobody's targeting. Remember, all the guys in the big markets are going for the big keywords because they can afford to buy them at $25 a click. They're ignoring underpriced markets that but people are still searching for those keywords.
I was going to ask you something earlier, but I kind of waited and to see what you think about. In my website, I put will be competitor's price. Is that something you would be okay with?
I wouldn't. It's irrelevant. What you got to convince the customer of in the conversation is that you know your market.
Okay.
So when the customer says, "Oh, are you comparing prices right now? Who is your previous company? Oh yeah, I know their price. Here's their price." Now they know you know. I said, if you're going to compare prices, we're probably, and here's what I would say, we're probably going to be the most expensive. You can't be afraid of being the most expensive. Here is a psychological fact about pricing. When the customer cannot see the quality, Pest control is intangible. You can't touch it. It isn't like a Louis Vuitton purse. When they cannot see the differentiating factors, they're going to default to price as thinking that the quality is higher because the price is higher. What does the average technician do? They think counterintuitive. This is counterintuitive. They think, oh, I have to be lower in order to get more sales because I can't be a high quality company. Understand that the psychological effect is, you got to let that play out in the customer's mind. And then what you do is you come in with a USP. Here's why we're different. Figure out what everybody else is saying and say something different. The fact that you got pink, you're already different. The fact that you understand women, the fact that you've been an educator, the fact, come across as the consultative sales guy instead of the sleazy sales guy.
Yeah, because many of the websites that you see, they'll say honest. We're honest.
Everybody's honest.
Everybody's honest. Everybody's honest. You better be honest if you come to my house.
Yeah. No, look, there's nobody saying, oh, we're deceptive. We're just going to have deceptive practices. You know,
that's right.
but you need a USP that, in other words, figure out in a paragraph, in a sentence, what is your unique selling proposition that you bring to the client? The fact that your colors, the fact that you're conscientious about their home, sell what's important to your target client. Now, you haven't done any marketing research to see how many calls are coming in are women and how common are men. Most of the time, if it's a general, listen to this. If it's a general household pest problem, it's going to be a woman. If it's a lawn problem, it's usually going to be a man.
Yeah.
And if it's a termite problem, chances are it's going to be a man that you're dealing with, because this is a big expenditure. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. People think, oh, I'll let my husband handle that because he's still the main breadwinner. Although that changed a couple of years ago, where women were more women employed than men. And I still get more calls from women than men. I'm going to look through my numbers for the last 60 days, see how many calls were from men, how many came in from women. And I can, but again, you don't, and this is a big debate on the marketing. Should I have bugs or shouldn't I have bugs on my images? If you're dealing with women, don't.
Exactly. I knew that because I have an aunt that if you just say the word roach, she freaks out.
Yep. And the thing is, here's the backdrop. If you're going to do SEO, the word has to be in there, because if not, you won't rank for it. So in your main page,
but not the images.
Not the images. You need to have the words in there. And if you look at my site, I don't have images. I have icons.
I saw that.
Because icons are not as offensive. People can get it. This is a bug. In their mind, you have to use neuro-linguistic programming.
Except your bed bug.
Yeah.
And a flea, right? You have a flea in there?
No, I got a bed bug. It's actually a bed bug icon. It's just not a creative bed bug. But the person gets it. It's mine association. This is a bug. It's different than the other bugs I'm looking at. I don't have, because here's what the guy said. Oh, that's not a real bed bug you got in there. All the entomological guys that don't know how to market, that are solo operators, will criticize me and says, oh, that's not a real bug. That's, because they're getting into all the minutia details of everything and the semantics when the customer doesn't care. The only one that cares is you. And who are you marketing to? Your competition to get their approval, or the customer's approval? I could care less what my competition thinks of me, because my competition thinks I'm nuts. Already. They thought I was nuts when I told them 10 years ago I'm going to go eco-friendly. It ain't going to happen. You can't do it. Nobody will pay for it. Miami sucks. If you listen to all these guys, it's doom and gloom. It's always doom and gloom. So, and especially your competition, they're, inside people are rooting for you. And then also they're rooting that you fail. I mean, it's a double-edged, they don't really, they want you. I want you to be successful. Just no more successful than me.
Yeah.
That's
the way it is. That's the way it is, and I understand it.
You got to understand it's
I
competition.
understand it. I understand
Hey,
it.
hey, you know, it ain't personal. It's just business.
It's
You know?
just business. It's just business.
Yeah, bro.
And again, Frank, the good thing is that I am enjoying this process.
Good. And that's important because for a lot of people, it's frustrating.
And it's not frustrating, and I can grow, and maybe little by little by little by little until, like I grew as a teacher for 21 years. Maybe I can grow little by little by little
You will. Let me just go in here and see if there's people online. Anybody's got any questions? I'm just looking at it, keeping an eye on it.
Did you have viewers, Facebook?
Yeah, we had like 9, and then we had 13 comments. Yeah, so we don't. Hey, look, I found out that I would follow people that have 200,000 followers on Facebook or whatever, and then when you look at their live sessions, there's maybe less than 1% of people on there. I was looking at the other day at the White House. They only have 1.5 million subscribers. The White House does, and they only had 243 people online when they were doing a live. I mean, we're 3 billion people in the country. I don't know what the number is. So live following is very for hardcore people usually that follow me. So very few people are actually going to, in the middle of the day, interrupt their day to listen to a live when they know I'll record it and then I'll put it on later and then I'll have 250 views on it. But the engagement is nice for those that want it. I learned you give it to people the way they want it, not the way you prefer it. As mostly for my marketing, the business model for how we service, we're exclusively we're, by all intents and purposes, we are an exclusive exterior pest control company. Because if we manage all your pests outside, you rarely will have a problem inside. And that's just basic biology. This idea and is it hard? The question I get, is it hard to convince people of that? Not when you have done your branding and your marketing correctly. Nobody goes to McDonald's saying, "Oh, I wish I had a Chick-fil-A sandwich." They don't. They're buying what they buy at McDonald's because that's what they're used to. When they want a Chick-fil-A sandwich, they go to Chick-fil-A. If you do your brand,
I don't think we have anybody in San Antonio like your business. Do you know of
don't,
anybody?
because most people don't. Most people in the industry don't believe in it. They think there's customers that don't want it. See, in other words, if I don't like it, here's the mentality that's wrong. If I don't like it, therefore nobody else likes it. Well, the world isn't you. In the car business, if you've been in the car business, you know that there's a saying, there's a seat for every ass. I mean, you go and you have the most hideous car on the lot and somebody will come and buy it. So this idea, but if you know who your customer is, do the market analysis. Look at how many natural food stores there. I mean, do you have a Trader Joe's? Do you have these guys who sell organic fruits and organic vegetables? How many yoga studios are there? Partner with these people. Go, hey, man, we're a holistic pest control company. You sell organic. We sell. I guarantee you that Whole Foods, most of the Whole Foods that I know, don't have an IPM service in their store. And they sell organic produce. And they don't have an IPM service in their store. So again, it's understand that you are like a bug in the sense that you're opportunistic. You got to find the opportunity. You know what? A great book that'll open up your eyes if you haven't read it, Blue Ocean Strategy. Here's the top 5 books that I'll recommend. The E-Myth. Have you read the E-Myth?
No.
I would recommend before you do anything, read the E-Myth.
E-Myth.
Yeah. Because you're not that far along in your marketing where you can't pivot this and change it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
You're not that far along. So it's much easier to correct yourself now when the ship hasn't left the port than when you're in the middle of the ocean. That's a hard one to turn around. E-Myth is number 1. The E-Myth Revisited is the one you really want. You're going to want to read Profit First. I think that's Mike Michalowicz. Okay. And then I want you to read Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz also, because E-Myth tells you everything you're going to experience before you experience it. Clockwork tells you how to fix it. E-Myth doesn't tell you how to fix it. I know a lot of people are going to say, no, use this other program. Unless you're $1 million, that program doesn't work for you.
That's right.
You know, so I would read that. Profit first is important. It's not a bad word. And then you got Profit First, Clockwork, Michalowicz, and then get Blue Ocean, because Blue Ocean helps you dream about how do you differentiate yourself in a marketplace. And that's what's going to help you get your USP. I think that right there, if anybody's listening to me right now, they're wanting to start a business, get this under your belt first, because when you're in it, you're going to say, I wish I would have known that. If I would have known that, I would have never done this. This allows you to evaluate a lot of that, because this is about strategy that we're talking about. Getting down to tactics is very granular. A lot of details that we can't discuss on a podcast that will require consultation and will require ongoing. When you run into the problem, how do we do this? When you run into, how do we do this? I'm deciding this. Do I go this route or this route? That's granular. You know, so what we got to do is we got to be able to look at the big picture and say, what's going to differentiate you? Because if the only thing is price, you're doomed. You're doomed. You'll never recover from price, by the way. The moment you give the customer a low price, you will never be able to increase it.
Yeah. You're
done.
You lose them.
I would rather you start high and tell the customer, okay, Mr. Customer, you don't want to pay this price. I have option B for you and option C, like the dealer does.
That's right.
And I'll give you 3 price options, but understand you're giving something up in the process. You can't have everything. In other words, you can't say to your boss, I want dental, I want vision, I want medical, and I want everything covered. I want 0 out of pocket, no deductible, and I don't want to pay a copayment. That's going to cost a fortune when you want that kind of service. This is kind of what we offer, but we sell a super premium service, and then we can bring it down. When a customer comes and says, I want mosquito, I want the house, I want the lawn, you're at $500 a month.
Okay, Mike, Frank, I was just about to ask you a question with those 3 things. You know, somebody calls you right now in Miami, nice sunny day. They say, hey, it's about a 2,800 to 3,000 square foot house, nice house, pool. You know, they got their dogs, they got a nice lawn, you got your palm trees and all that nursery. And hey, you know, I saw a little bit of spiders here and there. Go and take care of the situation, please.
Right.
What do you do and how do you upgrade?
Okay, so what I do is I have a conversation with the client. I mean, that when a customer wants one service, that's easy. I can quote that. It's, you want a mosquito service, it's $99 a month. Here's our process. It shows my Into-Care station that we use bait, that we use Insecto, that we use this, that we use that. And I have a video. So I have a video for everything, because most times people are going to ask me, Frank, what do you do? And they have no idea. I can't explain what holistic pest management is. Let me show you. Here's a video. Watch that. And then if you feel comfortable about getting a quote, give me your property info, fill out that form. On that form is everything I need to make a decision. It tells me
bundle everything. How do you upgrade your sale? How do you bundle?
Okay, so what I do is most customers aren't going to upgrade because we do not discount for bundling. Why? Because I don't have to.
Okay. I got you.
I mean, I don't have to. I sell Bentleys and Rolexes to people that can afford Bentleys and Rolexes. If you want a $49 lawn service, there is 15 companies in Miami that'll do it, but you're going to get a 20-year-old kid that's going to go there, spray it with a mix tank. He has no idea one plant from another. If you're having I got estates that are $10 million. They're $400 a month. for a 6,000 square foot garden. That's how I do it, because that's who I sell to. So I don't have to, I'm not shameful of my price. I'm not apologetic, but when I go and you've got $150,000 worth of landscaping, you're not going to complain about a $400 a month bill when you have palm trees that nobody else has. So how do we upgrade? It's very simple. I look at the property. I say, tell me what you got. Because usually they're calling me because there's already a problem. I've got these Ixoras. I've got this palm tree that is sick. I said, send me a picture. All right. So here's what you got. Here's what I have. I usually will say, what do you want? All we sell right now, if the customer can't sign up with me with a premium package, he's not my customer. Move on. I don't care to lose the sale. It doesn't bother me. So right now, my minimum is a 6,000 square foot lawn at $20 per 1,000 square feet per month. But, X company charges $49 a quarter. I said, that's what your lawn looks like crap. Because there's no way I can deal with a problem every 4 months. I can't deal with weeds, diseases, irrigation problems. That's not what we sell. We do irrigation inspections. So what I do is, okay, tell me about what you got. And I tell them up front, I said, listen, I need an address. And then I go on my map, on my county map, and I put up all that property info. And I see he's got a driveway, he's got a pool, he's got palm trees here, he's got all this over here. I see how much lawn he has. I say, well, he only has 2,000 square feet of lawn. I said, Bo, my minimum price is $129 a month right now. Can you swing it? He says, no, that's ridiculous. I'm like, there's no sense in going on with that conversation. He's not going to get convinced that he needs to pay $120 a month. I don't waste my time. It's like when you walk into the Mercedes dealership, it's $115,000 for that vehicle. Take it or leave it. But I'm in a position where I branded myself for 7 years. I built up the reputation. I sell exclusivity. Are you getting bio fertilizers right now? I don't know. What percentage of your weeds? How much can you tolerate? How many percent? I asked them, what percentage of your lawn can you tolerate for weeds? I have no tolerance for weeds. I said, then I need to be there monthly. I can't miraculously eliminate weed for 3 months. So I consult the client on what he wants, and what my clients want. I'm a lawyer. This is a $10 million estate. I don't want to worry about anything.
Do what you got to do.
And my fee for lawn and ornamental is $259 an hour. That's my fee. So if I'm there on your property, it's going to take 2 hours for me to be on your property every month to solve all of these problems. It's $500 and something a month. It's that simple. I know what my price is. I know what I bring to the table. I know my reputation, and we back it up, because if that lawn doesn't look nice, you're fired.